Hey guys, this is Aiman and this is the recap I promised you to do. I will be talking about all the trades I have taken the last week from Monday to Friday, the winners and the losers. I did that the last week, so if you didn't watch the recap from the last week, make sure to watch it. Alright, so this is Monday, 30th of November. Yeah, it's Monday. Sorry about that. Stupid pause. Anyway, so on Monday I didn't make a lot of trades. I think I didn't make a lot of trades. My first trade was on FCAL. I started establishing this position in the pre-market. Why did I do that? You could see that on the 60-minute chart, it's uptrending, right? On the daily chart, it's also uptrending. There is a pullback closer to the 9-moving average, coming back up. On this day, we gapped up, right? And I expected a break of 1130. On the 60-minute chart, you could see that there is a flat range right there. And my first entry here in the pre-market was literally at the break of this first line, right there. I had a tight stop loss. This was bad. I should never do that, especially in pre-market. Took a partial at the breakout, so it pulling back. I had around 20% of my position or 30% of my position left, so I let it go against me. Added at the open, and I got stopped out. So that it still wasn't failing, I re-entered to my position expecting a break of this line or of the pre-market high, and then finally going to 1130. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and it went against me. I also added heavily by mistake and bailed eventually after all down there. And I think this all right here was a break-even trade or maybe even a small loss, because this was a partial and then I exit for a big loser with some slippage. Then these were small partials 2020 and I exited with slippage. After this entry right here, my stop loss was down there and I get slippage in it. So I think this was a break even or a small loser trade. CIIC, this was a clean one. I liked it. Like overall, you could see that we are forming sort of a descending triangle on the 60-minute chart. You could find a flat support down there and a range up here, and I knew that if we break the range, we'll have room at least all the way down this level. If we break this level, we'll have room all the way to the next level and then below that. Where did I get my entry? I started establishing it in the pre-market the moment we made a new 5-minute low, because I saw that there we were forming lower low and lower high waves. Once we made a new 5-minute low, I'm taking my position to the short side. What's my stop loss? My stop loss is the last level it bounced from, and I was 1 cent away from getting stopped out. Luckily that didn't happen. Dropped down, started partialing. Now adding to my position with a stop loss the last level it bounced from. Then I added 2 more times around here, moving my stop loss to this level right here, this week right here. Got stopped out literally to the penny or a little bit above my stop loss, and then it just worked out. I'm not sure if this was a bad ad. I think it wasn't a bad ad. This ad right here, I'm not really mad about it, with a good stop loss. This ad is not that bad. It's tough to say. Usually when I am adding to a position, I make sure that I put my stop loss around the 9 or a little bit above the 9. So anyway, I think I would have been stopped out. There is nothing wrong about this thing. I could have re-entered if I was watching it, but I wasn't watching it because I was done by this time. But yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with these ads right there, and the last stop loss I put just didn't work out really well. Riot, same thing. Daily chart looking really well, right? Dropped all the way to the 9. Today it's gapping up, and I went for that breakout. 60-minute chart is so clean, and it doesn't get any cleaner like that than that, right? Hammer on the 60-minute chart. Then we're making a new high at the open, and this is the best thing I love about breakouts, guys. I love to see the stock selling off first and then getting squeezed back up. Why is that? Because I see the power of the sellers, then I see how the sellers are failing and getting squeezed by buyers. If it just immediately goes up, I like it less. I could still take it, but I like it less because I still didn't see the power of the sellers. After that, it could just simply squeeze back down. Now, seeing that it dropped down, seeing that we made a new 5-minute low, but we didn't sell off, shows me that there is some buying pressure. It then gets back up, making a new high, breaking the range right there, taking it to the long side, stop loss somewhere in the middle, and then partialing all the way up. This was one of my best trades on that day. I think it was the best trade that day. Yeah, it is. Now, day after that, Tuesday, AMD, daily chart, daily chart was so strong, and on the previous day it was amazing. This day here, I wish I've been watching it that day, because you could see that I would definitely had some sort of range right there, forming for around 3 days, and the breakout would have been a great one right there. Anyway, missed that. Went for a continuation today. The 60 on this one wasn't that clean, but I still thought that after a strong day like that, if we manage to break up, we'll have room all the way up there, or at least for starters somewhere around here. What do? I'm taking it to the long side in the pre-market for the break of this line. That is the dotted line. We did actually break as expected, but after the breakout we didn't run and we dropped back down, and I exit this one for 1 hour. Loser right there. Around here and around here I think it would have been good, but I wouldn't have caught it. I'm not trading around that time. 11 to 12 usually I'm not in front of my station. Now the day after that, oh, it's the same day, right? It's the same day, Tuesday. NKLA, this one was clean and I like it. Selling pressure. What I like about this also is you can see that we have 2 weeks here. Those weeks they formed a new high, but this high didn't get it bought back up. It immediately got squeezed back down, making a new low on the 60-minute chart. Look at the 1-minute chart. There it is, new 5-minute low. Double top of the second top lower than the first one, breaking this level right there. So I'm taking it to the short side. What is my stop loss on this one? My stop loss was here at the high, and then we're breaking down, which was really great. Partial, yeah, multiple partials. I'm adding to my position on the pullback after it bounced off the 9 on the 5-minute chart. What's my new stop loss? My new stop loss is right there. Now look at this. Why do I like this ad right here? So look at this. This is my average, 1960. This is the place where I want to add 17. Let's say it's 17.20. So it's $1.40, right? I doubled the remaining, and by this time I had around 15% left. 15 or 10%. Let's say it's 10, just to make it smaller, okay? I had 10% left. Doubling my position makes my average somewhere around... Wait, is the record? No, this is actually $2.25. Yeah, $2.25. So yeah, doubling my position put my average somewhere around here. So this is my new average. And how much do I have? I have 20%. Now I double it one more time to have 40% of my original position and a new average of around 75. You see? Somewhere around here. So now I'm having 40% of my position with my average still above my stop loss. Now I could double it one more time. I have 80% with the new average right there, but I didn't double it. I added 20% more, and I had my average somewhere around here. And I had 60% of my original position. You see how I built it up from 10% to 60% of my original position? 60% of my original position, and if I lose, I will lose less than 1 R, because this is my new average, and if it goes a little bit against me, that will be, I don't know, 0.3, 0.4 R loser. After I made this money right here, I'm okay with losing 0.4. And if it works, I could make a lot of money. And there it is, I'm taking a partial right here, one on this level, and this was the moment where I took a screenshot. I took the rest, those targets, they didn't get filled as far as I remember. I think I just covered all a little bit after. Now, this right here is the third day of the week, Wednesday. And Wednesday was difficult for me. I mean, in terms of P&L, it was a great day. I had 7 hours made on this day. But in terms of my win rate, it wasn't great. You could see that Monday and Tuesday I had a good win rate. Almost everything worked out. On Wednesday, almost everything worked out, but from the second attempt. So AMD, yesterday, or the previous day, it's closing as a doji, and it's forming a 3-bar play on the daily chart. And on the 60-minute chart, I could see we're having sort of a resistance around here. I hated those wicks. They could have acted as a potential resistance, but it's a 3-bar play. And how is 3-bar play played? You're taking it to the long side at the break of the third bar. You're stop loss at the low first bar, and then you run it up. Of course, I will not have my stop loss at the low down there on the daily chart. It's too big, $2. I could do that if I want to swing trade it, but I'm not swing trading it. I'm playing it intraday. Therefore, I'm looking at some other levels I have somewhere inside there, which were formed intraday. Now, what did I do? I took it to the long side at the open, having my stop loss at the low right here for the breakout. Why is that? Because before the market opened, we had a strong move up there, we're pulling back, closing as a hammer, making a new 5-minute high, I'm taking it to the long side, putting my stop loss below this wick right there. 1 hour loser, failed. Mad about it? Not really. I don't think this was a bad trade. I see that it's actually working, coming back up with volume. We're breaking up. I'm taking it to the long side, putting my stop loss this time in the middle. Why is that? Here I didn't see the power of the sellers. It's only the power of the buyers, and this is what I hate about those breakouts. Sometimes I take them, but I know that if I don't see the power of the sellers, they will step in, and they might get me stopped out. Here, I saw the power of the sellers, and I see that the buyers are squeezing them, so I'm taking it to the long side, stop loss somewhere in the middle, partialing, partialing, partialing. Then this ad right here was a little bit bad. Not bad because not a bad ad because I added so much. I told you that the 9 moving average acts like a magnet, and usually stocks, they pull back to the 9 and then continue running up. So this ad should have been a small ad, keeping my average somewhere around here so that I could get stopped out only if it breaks the 9 on the 5. If that was my stop loss, I'd have survived this pullback and I would have caught the real move right there, extra dollar move. Unfortunately, I added so heavily, moving my average somewhere around here, or maybe around here, taking a partial at the break and exit the rest once it started pulling back. Didn't survive the pullback. That was a bad ad. I know, 60-minute chart, it was the same day. I think it was the same day, yeah. I know, there it is. Flat support right there, and if we break it, we'll have room all the way down there. I like that, so what I do, I'm taking it to the short side in the pre-market, the moment we broke it. Then I'm adding to my position after market open on a small reverse CBCT pattern. What do I like about this? I see the power of the buyers, and then they see that the sellers are squeezing them down. Adding to my position, moving my stop loss somewhere around here. My average after the ad was here, but I didn't double it once. I added even more, so my average was somewhere around here, with a new stop loss somewhere up there. Partial, partial, partial. I was out here most of my position. This was the biggest partial. I had around 10% left. Why is that? Because that was my target. This right here was my target. Look at the daily chart. You're having a reverse hammer with a gap down. So this definitely could have run. This was a short or a short for me. Like literally nothing. PFE. Do I like it? I definitely like it. Strong daily chart right here. This is not supposed to be a circle. The 60-minute chart was ugly. The 60-minute chart, selling pressure, selling pressure, selling pressure. Every time it's going up, it gets sold back down. So I definitely didn't like that. I knew that it could just have done literally the same thing. Go up and then squeeze back down, which it did. But I still liked it. I thought we might, if we break those wicks right here, we might run. What did I do? I waited for the break of the first level right here. Took it to the long side, hoping that it will make it all the way to the second level we're having right there. So that was my target right there. I'm taking it to the long side, putting my stop loss in the middle, taking a partial right there. That was a 50% partial, only because of what I saw on those weeks. Getting sold, getting sold, getting sold. It could have done the same thing. Usually it's 20% partial, especially the first one, and especially on stocks which are strong, or which I believe are strong. In this case, it was 50%. I locked in around 1 hour, a little bit less than 1 hour, exited the rest at break even, because this was a good indicator for me. It could just simply drop down, and it did. Wait, was it that? Yeah, AMD first attempt failed, worked. INO worked from the first attempt. PFE worked from the first attempt. I think the hard day is the second day, not that day. That day was good. Yeah, that day was still good. Like 3 winners and 2 losers, it's fine. This is the day. Baba, this was Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. So Baba, looking at the 60-minute chart, I see that we are making lower lows and lower highs. Then we're making a double bottom right here, going up, pulling back. Previous support acts as resistance, closing as a hammer. You could see double hammers on the 60-minute chart. The daily chart, we are gapping up. The pre-market is really flat, so I'm definitely long buys on this thing. What am I doing? I'm taking it to the long side. What is my stop loss? My stop loss is the low of the range right there. What happens? It gets me out literally to the penny. Could have got me out later. I mean, even if this didn't get sold out, I'd have been sold out here, 100% there. Now, what do we see, guys? We see the power of the sellers. The sellers are squeezing down. You see the problem? First, it's going up, and if you take it to the long side at the break right here, you don't see the power of the sellers. What could happen is you getting squeezed back down. But after you see that the sellers push it down and the buyers got back in control to the direction you were planning to take the trade to, and this is a good setup. Take it to the long side, stop loss in the middle, and start taking partials all the way up. Added one more time there. That was not a bad add in my opinion, because looking at the daily chart, it didn't make the average true range yet. The average true range on this thing is somewhere around $10, right? And we did a move from 63 to 68, $5. It could have run even more, but it didn't do that, unfortunately. Wasn't a bad add. Put my stop loss at the low of the consolidation after my add, and I get stopped out. What was my plan here? My plan here was to add here, having my stop loss down here, and if we break up there, I will add one more time, moving my stop loss somewhere down here, and then take partials at those daily levels right there. That didn't happen. It's fine. Then JMIA, same thing. Look at this. Gap up on an ABCD pattern, clear range right there. Unfortunately, we broke the range in the pre-market. That I didn't pay attention to. This was the break of the range. That was the entry there. The entry should have been somewhere down there. I should have established it in the pre-market. I didn't do that, and after market open, I took it for the break. I have no idea how I missed this candle. I thought this breakout here is the break of this. Is the break of this right there, and I went heavy there, getting stopped out at I think 1.5 R, 1.5 or 2. I don't really remember right now, but that was a big loss for me, because after the breaks I usually put my stop loss somewhere in the middle. Now it's getting back against me, dropping down. You see a double bottom right there. So what do we see there? We see the sellers. The sellers are pressuring it down. Then it's starting to come back up right there. I'm taking it to the long side at the break of this, at the break of the small range down there, having my stop loss somewhere in the middle. Was it there? I don't really remember where I put my stop loss. Let me check. I think my stop loss was somewhere in the middle, somewhere right there. Taking my partial here. This was at 2 hours. This was a little bit less than 2 hours. Taking a big partial at the daily level right there, or pre-market level. Adding one more time for a bearish engulfing sandwich play. What's the bearish engulfing sandwich? It's when the bearish candle gets engulfed on two sides by bullish candle. The good entry on this setup is the crack to the upper side. I wasn't patient enough to wait for that. I wanted to get a good add on this one, so I added heavily, moving my average somewhere around here, and I gave some of the profits back down there. PLTR. What do I have on the daily chart? Sort of an ABCD pattern, previous day closing as a hammer, 60-minute range, only 1 week on our way. I don't care about 1 week. If there were multiple weeks, I would definitely be a little bit hesitant, but 1 week, I rarely care about it. What am I doing? At the open, again, look at the same thing. You don't see the sellers, it's just the buyers, and I took it to the wrong side and it got me stopped out. Now one thing I did wrong right there, I think, is putting my stop loss so tight. My stop loss should have been a little bit lower than that. No, it actually was a breakout. Yeah, the stop loss was good. After breakouts, just put your stop loss somewhere in the middle. That's my stop loss. It goes in my favor, bouncing off that pre-market level right there, getting me stopped out. Mad about it? Not really. I think I did everything right there. What's happening after that? It started to form an ABCD pattern, bouncing off the 9 moving average on the 5-minute chart. ABCD pattern on the 1-minute chart with a W shape. Bouncing off the 9, new 5-minute high, right? The 60 still in our favor. The daily is in our favor. Taking it to the long side, putting my stop loss down here. Now this was a bad stop loss, guys. If my entry was here, at the break of this, it's okay to have my stop loss somewhere down there. But because my entry was still within the range, I shouldn't have put my stop loss down there. It could have just simply done this and then continued going higher after getting me stopped out. Got lucky there. Worked in my favor. Adding on an ABCD pattern right there. This wasn't really great because my add right here was on the way down. I usually tell you guys, don't add on the way down. Make your add always on a new high on the way up. So this wasn't a great add, and managed to get a partial on it and exit the rest at break even, but it wasn't a great add right there. WKHS. WKHS wasn't good. Was it long? Yeah, it wasn't good, especially that I took it to the long side. Look at the 60-minute chart. Selling pressure, and I told you 1 week, it's fine. 2 weeks is not really great. I still managed to try to take it to the long side because I saw that it started to wave to the upper side, somewhere like that, and I thought it might continue doing that. It did do that actually, but maybe the timing was wrong. Now what am I doing? I'm taking it to the long side at the break, having my stop loss somewhere down there, getting stopped out. Now what's happening after that? No, actually, okay. Now this is not that bad actually. I see what I did. This wasn't a long. If it was a long, it's definitely bad. I was just wondering, why did I take it to the long side right now? It was short. There it is. So looking at those wicks right there, it's fine. looking at those wicks, it's fine to take it to the short side. But again, what I didn't like about it is what I told you right here. It started waving to the upper side, but yeah, if it breaks this, we'll have room at least somewhere down to this level. So taking it to the short side wasn't a bad idea. Now, I established my position in the pre-market and I had my stop loss up here at the range. What happens? It's getting me stopped out, but look at this, the wicks, which we were talking about. We're seeing the power of the bars, then it's getting squeezed back down. I'm taking it to the short side, putting my stop loss in the middle. My target was here, few cents. It just didn't get me filled by a few cents. Came back up, dropped down. I add to my position. I don't like my add because I added after hammer, so I remove whatever I added. I see that we broke up, got closer to view up, bounce of view up, started dropping down. I add again, then I just exit for a loser. So this right here I think was to our losers. This is WKHS. Zoom on this day was good, yeah. So zoom, you could see a range. On the daily chart, it's below moving averages, below everything, so it's more weak than it's strong. On the 5-minute chart, the setup, remember guys, the bullish engulfing sandwich, where the bullish candle gets engulfed by bearish candles from both sides. I'm taking it to the short side, adding to my position, short, adding to my position. It dropped down, took a partial, making now a reverse ABCD pattern, adding to my position on a reverse ABCD pattern, and exiting all out closer to the 405 area. It was 405.60 or 406, but yeah, I just bailed all out right there because I get the risk reward we wanted to get from this. And this was a difficult day, you see that. Almost everything I've taken failed the first time. Baba failed, then it worked. GMIA failed, then it did work. PLTR failed, then it did work. WKHS failed twice. And Zoom worked out finally really well. I just decided to bail out on it. Now this was Friday. Friday was good. I think I didn't have losers on this day. Let's just check. So you could see right here on Doku, this was not an ideal breakout for me. There was no range right there, but I saw the hammer, I saw the doji, and then we're making a new high. The 60-minute chart uptrending, we had a range forming on the daily chart. It was holding for over a month right there, and today it gapped up, so it definitely was so long buys on it. Unfortunately, it wasn't as long as I expected it to be, but I was long buys on it and I thought it will run way more than that. So I'm taking it to the long side, having my stop loss somewhere down here. It's going in my favor, dropping down, not getting me stood out, opening strong. I'm adding to my position heavily, moving my average somewhere around here, or somewhere around here, I don't really remember. Taking a partial. Then I wanted to bail, but I hit the partial hotkey instead of exiting. So instead of exiting the rest at break even, I exit at a small loss. This was one of my trades. Oxy was one of my best trades on that day, and this one was so clean. Going up, pulling back, going up, pulling back, going up, forming a range on the 60-minute chart. I established my position in the pre-market, having my stop loss somewhere down there. Now this was a bad stop loss. I think I should have used this as my stop loss. I didn't though. Now getting stopped out, I see that my trade still didn't fail. I just got wicked down because there was no volume right there. So I'm re-entering one more time in the pre-market. And then once market opens, I'm adding to my position because it coincides with the new 60-minute high. And you can see that on the daily chart, we are actually breaking out, right? Now getting into the long side, having my stop loss somewhere down there and partialing all the way up. One thing which I should have done, I think, adding right here 5-minute open range breakout when the stock was closer to view up, and it still didn't do the average true range. You can see that the average true range in this thing is somewhere around $1, and at the open we moved from 17, I think, to 17.50. We had around 50 cents still to move, so this would have been a really good place to add. I didn't do that, unfortunately. Missed a good add. Last trade was PLTR. Daily chart, I like it. It's not bad. I mean, strong pullback and then a continuation. 60-minute chart looks so good in my opinion. There is a range, and I think it would have been good to play to both directions, to the long or to the short. Look at this. First of all, the daily chart, you can see that on previous day we had a hammer, a reverse hammer, which is showing us some selling pressure. Now today, if it breaks up, it could be a long, but if it breaks down, it could be a short, right? Daily chart could be played both directions. Because the daily chart could be played both directions, we could play the 60-minute chart accordingly, right? If it breaks up, you take it to the long side. If it breaks down, you could take it to the short side. In the pre-market though, I saw that the long favorable, that it was more long favorable. establish my position in the pre-market based on the waves we had right there with the higher lows. There it is. My stop loss right there. I think my stop loss was the low of the pre-market. Yeah, I didn't have it that tight, unfortunately. But again, there was no volume. I didn't want to face what I faced the previous day on Thursday, where I was getting stopped out because of bad stop loss, or I think I didn't want to face what happened to me on Oxy. Anyway, so I'm taking it to the long side. My stop loss right there. Taking a partial. No, it wasn't down there. It was a little bit higher because this partial was at 2 hours. Now it's breaking the pre-market high, and it's also breaking the range right there. So I'm adding to a position, taking multiple partials, and exiting the rest at my new break-even after the add. Those were my trades for the week, guys. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me. My name there is at AimanBBT. If you have any questions, feel free to comment here on YouTube. A little bit for long recap, but I think it's fine. I took around 5 minutes for each day. 5 trading days, 25 minutes recap. It's totally fine. 5 minutes for each trading day. That's it. Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll talk to you on Monday.